What's good, everybody? This is Ace here, as always, with my partner Marcus, and we are about that sports life. You guys know what we came to do. We came to talk some sports. So we're going to get right into it. Before we do, it's been a minute, so we got to catch up, man. Marcus, what's good?
I'm good, bro. Just getting ready for the season to keep going. Football is back, basketball around the corner, and it's a great time of the year, man.
Yeah, man. Real talk. I'm gonna touch on. We're gonna touch on that a little later, but I was looking at some articles, some information about NBA season. And I didn't realize training camp is a week away. Like,
It's here.
yeah, like we're about to be right back into it because NBA is a little different than NFL, where it's like it kind of seems like with NBA, once they get into training camp, couple preseason games, and it's time to go. So
Yeah, you don't have that long, drawn out camp, mini camp
pre-camp,
thing
mini
like
camp,
like with the
OTAs.
NFL.
Yeah,
NFL is like they start back really in May. Games don't get rolling until September.
exactly.
Basketball end of September, early October. They can't. The games is
By the
here
end of
in
the
two
month.
weeks.
Yeah, by the end of the month. Yeah,
By
we
Halloween, we're
watching games.
rolling.
Yeah, so
And we
I'm
back
excited
fully
about
to
that
a
for
full
sure.
season again this year, right? With COVID, we had things changed the last two seasons now, but we're finally fully back to our regular 82 game season that became accustomed to.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. Like I said again, we're gonna touch on that again. Like some of what we got to look forward to, what some of the biggest storylines are for NBA. But I guess we can't really go too far without talking about NFL, man. That's what's going on right now. We took just passed. What to you was some of the highlights of week 2 for you? What's some of the most important uh takeaways or biggest games of week 2?
All right, I think my one takeaway is yes, the Rams were already a good team, but I do think there's a significant difference in the Rams with Matthew Stafford versus the Rams with Jared Goff. And yes, they were good. They went to a Super Bowl, so I can't fully just act like Jared Goff didn't have success there because he did. But now when I watch the Rams, and then they have a big one coming up this week with Tampa, I now feel like the Rams are a true title contender. You know what I mean? When I watch them with Stafford and with the weapons they have, Cooper Kupp is playing out of his mind so far early in the season. Doesn't even look like they're missing Cam Akers. We were all expecting a big second season from them. He's not there, but the running game is still able to be sufficed with Darrell Henderson and Sony Michelle. And then Jalen Ramsey and Aaron Donald and everything else they have on that defense is so everything's in line now with how they wanted to build that team. And to me, that's my takeaway is that the Rams are for real. The Rams are a factor. And if anybody was overlooking them, I think this is the week where they're going to shut all that up. Because I actually, in my opinion, yes, Tampa's the real deal. Tampa's still the champ. They still are probably the favorite. I think the Rams are going to win this week and really put everybody on alert.
Yeah, I agree. I'm gonna say I'm not gonna say that was my takeaway from week 2, but I feel like week 3 is set up for that to be the big moment of week 3. The big moment of week 3 is gonna be the Rams. I predict the Rams are gonna win that game, and they're gonna really stamp themselves as a Super Bowl contender, and potentially the best team in the NFC. I think that's what we're gonna see out of the Rams this week. I feel like we're gonna see an even better because to me, this past week, what we saw was a couple facets of what the Rams can do.
Mm-hmm.
One, like you said, Cooper Kupp's playing out of his mind. Now, Cooper Kupp is already a good player, but this is different what he's doing right. Him and Matt Stafford got a different type of connection, and it looks unstoppable right now. And then, like you said, the running game, it looks like it didn't miss a beat. But guess what? We still haven't seen almost anything out of Robert Woods.
Mm-hmm.
And Robert Woods was wide receiver 1 last time I checked. So you still got Robert Woods, and we really haven't seen anything out of him. There's still some more meat on that bone, so to speak. And I feel like that defense is only going to get better. as the season progresses too. Because right now we haven't even seen Jalen Ramsey really do Jalen Ramsey things. He's been like kind of playing that like a jack of all trades, type of role. So
I mean,
we
I think
know
against Chicago, he shut Allen Robinson down.
Yeah,
Like, I have Allen Robinson on multiple fantasy teams, so trust me, I know.
yeah.
He shut Allen Robinson down. But we've come to expect that with Jalen Ramsey. That's why it gets to a point where it's not even like impressive anymore because of how great he is at the cornerback position. But just when you have two dominant level guys in him and Aaron Donald on that defense, it's just so hard to stop. You know what I mean? And I don't know how you stop it. I mean, I don't know how your offense is able to continue to dominate against a defense like that. And now that they have the offensive firepower to supplement, because the defense has always been there with the Rams, now they have the quarterback that can supplement everything Sean McVay wants to do. The Rams are going to be scary, man. I know another team that I'm kind of surprised by early on is actually playing right now, and that is Carolina. Darnold looks like, their defense is the real deal. But I like Sam Darnold. Like I feel like he got away from the QB and career killer Adam Gase, and we're seeing once again a guy gets away from Adam Gase, it becomes
looks a lot better.
It looks a lot better. So the other was like they're probably going to move to 3-0 after they're playing the Texans currently. It's only a 7-0 game, but anyone that's watching currently knows how this game is trending. That Carolina's in control and going to be in control all night. They're another one where quarterback play you just see the importance of it because Teddy Bridgewater was okay last year. He wasn't terrible, but the fact is that
no McCaffrey hurt him.
Yeah, no McCaffrey did have him
because Teddy Bridgewater is a great quarterback for Christian McCaffrey. Except
the dink and dump type of thing.
Yeah, that's what. Teddy Bridgewater would have flourished, but he didn't have him. So,
but if Darnold can play on that almost Pro Bowl level, along with having the McCaffrey in the backfield, he has a DJ Moore at wide receiver. They drafted the young kids Terrace Marshall. They have a field stretcher in Robbie Anderson, and then the defense they have Brian Burns, they have Shaq Thompson, they signed Hassan Reddick. This Panthers team looks like they're on the verge of really breaking out themselves, and I really like their coach Matt Rule. So they're another one. They're another early team through these first 3 games for them that I've been impressed by, and I'm looking forward to seeing more from them as the season goes on.
Yeah, and that's honestly between them and the Cardinals are the 2 teams that I would say was my takeaways from week 2, because one, I would say with staying in line with the Panthers, I feel like their first Tampa Bay. I've heard talk about an undefeated season. I've already told you I think they're going to lose this week, but I also think that first game against the Panthers, I think that Tampa Bay is going to find themselves in a fight because from someone, it's hard for them to get on the field with a team that they have been, better than and knocked around and automatically kind of get to that level where they understand that this team is a lot better. And I think that by the time they get there, it may be a little, it may be a little bit late in the game, and I think the Panthers might just jump on them. But my biggest takeaway, like I said, week 2 is the Cardinals, and mainly Kyler Murray. Kyler, to me, see, all right. So when we talk the quarterback position and we talk NFL player, sometimes you got to separate athletes from quarterbacks. So like when you talk about the best players to ever play in the NFL, right? What comes to mind is names like Barry Sanders, Lawrence Taylor, Deion Sanders. I'm forgetting, but athletes is what I'm saying. Quarterbacks, quarterbacks are almost in a separate category to me. Whereas Tom Brady's the best quarterback of all time, right? But you wouldn't necessarily call him the best player to ever play, right? Am I making sense there?
I think what you're saying is that there's two different types of football players. You have the quarterback, and then you have everyone else. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
The skill
but
position guys.
and what I'm really getting at is with Kyler. It's like one of the first times we're seeing both, like a player that's going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and also one of the best
athlete.
players, period, in the league. And it's like
he's kind of what you wanted and what many thought Vic was going to be, but Vic never materialized as the passer until he got to Philly. We know, but he was not the same athlete. Once he was in Philly because of the years off with going to jail and everything. Yes, he still was a dynamic athlete at the quarterback position. But when you look at Kyler Murray and Lamar to a certain extent, because Lamar is not the passer Kyler is either.
Yeah, no.
Kyler Murray honestly puts it all together. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
He's ridiculously fast. He doesn't take hits because he knows how to get out of the way. He doesn't sacrifice his body, kind of like that Russell Wilson style. And he has a cannon of an arm. He's extremely accurate. And early on in the season, he looks like he's in the running for MVP. And like he's the type of player where he transitioned that franchise so quickly. You know what I mean? Like, it was just 2 years ago they had the number one pick and a brand new coach. You know what I mean? Like Kyler Murray was the number one pick. Clint Kingsbury was a brand new coach. Now, when you look at the Cardinals, we think of them as a playoff team. Like they were damn near a playoff team last year. They fell apart a little bit down the end of the year, and that was because Kyler got hurt. You know what I mean? If we remember, he was kind of hobbled those last couple of weeks, and that's really why they didn't make the playoffs. But this season, if he stays healthy with the additions that they've done to their defense, still has the great DeAndre Hopkins. I like what their run game, even though there's not a true dynamic back, but the mix of James Conner and Edmonds, it's pretty solid. You know what I mean? AJ Green is just AJ Green, but they have the rookie Rondell Moore, who looks like he might be a steal of a pick in the second round at receiver. He stretches the field for them nicely. The Cardinals are another one of those teams, kind of just like Carolina, where they're fast tracked to getting themselves into that contention realm. They added JJ Watt on defense, and we know what he brings in terms of leadership. And he still has the ability to be a playmaker on the defensive side of the ball. Chandler Jones is a monster.
Always been though. He's always he is who he is.
Been. They better pay that man. Xavier Collins looks like he's had a solid start to his NFL career. So the Cardinals are another one who are right there knocking on the door of putting some people on notice that they're for real. That whole NFC West, if we be honest, is special. The Rams, we already talked about them. The Cardinals, we just talked about them. Seattle is still Seattle because they got Russ. San Francisco, I just watched them in person with my Eagles. Yeah, I think we fumbled the game away. We probably should have won, and it says more about us than them. But San Fran's still a good team. You know what I mean? I think Garoppolo, with the pressure that he knows Trey Lance is there, he's raising his game some because he has no choice. You know what I mean? They have injuries in the backfield, and that's
holding them back a lot.
Oh, man, CMC.
I feel like that's holding them back a lot. He's hurt now? I seen it. He just tweaked his ankle, but he's not on the field anyway.
Hamstring.
Oh, hamstring.
Mm-hmm. All right, my bad. But yeah, like that NFC West, in my opinion, is the top division in football, and we're gonna have to watch them and who comes out of that division.
Every division game is gonna be entertaining with that division. But yeah, like as far as like week 2, like that, like those are probably the biggest like takeaways I really had. Now, obviously, I mean, I think we would probably agree that the biggest moment from week 2 was Lamar finally getting his win against Mahomes. I didn't really have that as a takeaway because I don't know what you can really take away from that because the way the game went. But I said, to me, it was a big moment. It was a moment for him. It was almost like it was a validation of the fact that, to me, I feel like Lamar, for whatever reason, gets way more criticism than is deserved for a quarterback that's done what he's done since he's been in the league. And I feel like, and I think people forget that just because he won an MVP, he's still a very young quarterback that is really still not. We haven't seen the best of Lamar Jackson. I don't believe.
Yeah, he really won MVP in his first real season as a starter. If we being
Yeah,
honest, yes, he took over for Flacco midway through that year, took him to the playoffs. They lost in the playoffs, but if we're being honest about his career, he won MVP his first full year as a starter, and then since then, he has not really been supplemented with the receivers that you kind of need to continue to take the leaps as a passer. So I kind of like their receiving core a little more this year because it looks like Hollywood Brown's taking a leap. Sammy
yeah,
Watkins
that's the
helped
difference.
stretch.
And to me, that's the difference. That's the difference. Is Hollywood Brown is the difference for Lamar. Is a big difference. He and it's not even a big thing that he's done. It's a subtle thing he's done. From the 2 games I watched is what Hollywood Brown is doing is Hollywood Brown used to be a burner. Like he was be trying to get
He's
up the
becoming a
field.
real receiver now.
Yeah. What he's doing now is more or less working with Lamar Jackson. He's more in sync. Like boom, he knows that what Lamar is going to do is extend the play. So he's becoming one of those receivers that kind of scramble back towards the quarterback or look for the open spots in the zone when the quarterback is extending the play, and that is making a world of difference for Lamar because what Lamar had before, he had Mark Andrews, where okay, if he had to scramble and extend, Mark Andrews usually, was a guy that was just coming across the field, across the middle, he was able to get it to. Now he has Hollywood Brown, who's going to probably be a little bit further down the field, but also working in those areas where it's going to be open. It's just working out a lot better for him.
And there's someone
and Brown at the same time.
They got Sammy Watkins is helping open the field, and then Rashad Bateman is not there yet, but he's a big time receiver. People that may not know him yet, he's a rookie. He fell a little bit, in my opinion, in the draft. I thought he probably should have been a top 20 pick, but that's neither here nor there. But that's another piece that he did not used to have. And once he's back on the field in a week or two, that's really going to help him even more as a passer. And like sometimes I see people kind of say, oh, Mark Andrews isn't living up to what he did. I'm like, no, it's not that. It's that they no longer have to only force the ball to him.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
they are now able to throw the ball to a real big time receiver that Hollywood's becoming. And then they have Watkins on the other side. And just wait, Bateman's coming. I know, unfortunately, they don't have J.K. Dobbins this year. And I think if they had him, they might be in the running for the best team in the league. But unfortunately, they don't. But the kid, Tyson Williams, has looked like a productive running back so far.
Yeah, it's like it's hard to put Tyson Williams in the shoes of a J.K. Dobbins. You can't do that because J.K. We know J.K.'s skill set is just different than. But for being in the situation that he's in, from what I've seen from him so far, he's doing a really good job. He's had some issues with pass protection and some of those RPO plays. Yeah, some of those RPO plays, I think he's not really. But it's like, and I hope that it doesn't hurt him too much that he ends up losing out to some of these veteran running backs that they bring in.
Yeah,
because I still feel like given the opportunity, he's going to be the best option for them. He's going to be the most productive back given the opportunity to me.
Oh, I feel like they already told us that that's how they see it also because. Yes, they signed Latavius Murray. Yes, they brought in Devontae Freeman, but their number one guy who they want to give the ball to, who they build the run game around, is Tyson Williams. Like, I seen something the other day where Nick Chubb's had a great start to his season. Their numbers aren't far off. You know what I mean? Like, no, don't get me wrong. I'm not comparing him to Nick Chubb at all. Nick Chubb is a superstar running back. But my point is he's giving them enough production, whereas they could continue to run their normal offense and not have to force so much on Lamar.
Exactly. Yeah, and like I said, the biggest moment of up to the season so far to me was Lamar getting that win and kind of, you got like, obviously they're still going to be talking about Lamar and that he can't throw and this and that, but I feel like it ain't much you can tell a quarterback that beat Mahomes And like, what can you really tell them? Because like
Gave
that
Mahomes his first loss in September ever.
exactly. Like, there ain't much you could tell him when he went toe to toe
For
with
me,
Pat Mahomes and won.
when it comes to that game, the Ravens and the Chiefs, I took it more as a statement for the Ravens as a team than just Lamar, because I feel like they are chasing Kansas City and have been chasing Kansas City for the past couple of years, and they finally may have told themselves that we're there, we're on that realm. You know what I mean? Like that's something that I think they probably have been questioning themselves about, and they needed to finally beat them and get through that door to gain that confidence to continue to go
Mm-hmm.
down the season, because there's no getting to the Super Bowl, in my opinion, from the AFC without going through Kansas City. And you have to have the
Absolutely.
confidence that you could beat them to even start that journey. You know what I mean? And I think that's what that this W last week gave Baltimore that. And Baltimore was already a factor, and they're going to stay a factor. Like they have a great coach. They got the quarterback. They got everything that you need to become a championship level team. It's just on them now to finally get over that hump and have some playoff success.
Yeah, and then I don't disagree with what you said. My only thing about that is I still feel like what's the right way to say this? Baltimore has a bigger date circled on the calendar. Well, no, you know what? It's actually the other way around. I feel like someone else has Baltimore circled on their calendar, and that's to me going to end up being their real test, and that's Cleveland. I think that
Mm.
division, them in Cleveland, that's going to come to a head. That's a clash because it's almost two teams with similar styles at this point, both in the same
Very
division,
similar.
and both
Now,
aiming at the top. So
would you saying that there's a team that you're just eliminating? So do you feel as though Pittsburgh is not a factor?
not in the way that Baltimore and Cleveland are. And the reason I say that is because, like I said, they're similar teams. They're tough. They're running teams. As we've already seen, even with the fresh new bell cow running back, they're not running the
Najee.
ball the way, yeah, with Najee Harris, they're not running the ball the way we're used to Pittsburgh Steelers team running the ball. And until they really get to that, to me, I don't really take them that serious because from what I've been seeing out of Ben is he's not the thrower that he once
Oh,
was.
not at all. Not he's
So
nowhere near the thrower he used to be. And I have some Steeler fan friends that don't want to accept that for some reason. And they told me going into the season that he's still the guy that can throw for 4,000 yards and do all these things and lead the team. And I said what you said. I'm like, no, it's
yeah,
time to get back to Steelers
until I
football, run
see
the ball,
that,
play defense. You know what I mean? That's what it's time for you guys to get back to. And like you said, they have not done that so far this season, even though Harris has had some success. I'm not going to eliminate them just yet from having a chance of winning that division, though. And the reason why I say that is because of this. Their defense is big time. You know what I mean? And I do believe in their coach, in Mike Tomlin. I know he has not gotten to a Super Bowl in a while, but he has not had losing seasons. He keeps them in the running all the time. And I do think once he notices that Roethlisberger's finished, is when he'll probably start to change the game plan and go to the offensive coordinator and say, hey, this is what we need to get back to doing. And that's where I'm not going to eliminate them just yet. But I do agree that the top two in that division, the AFC North, is Baltimore and Cleveland.
yeah. And like I said, it's just that is going to be the game. Like when those that's like a heavyweight fight. Like they're going to be throwing body blows and haymakers, and that's gonna be a good one.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be a good one.
So
Absolutely.
now before we get ahead of ourselves, we got week 3 coming up. Of course, the first game of week 3 is on right now. Panthers Texans. Not really too much intrigue in this one to me. I mean, it's only 7-0, but I feel like with the way the Panthers defense has been playing and the way that the Panthers have been looking as a whole, I think they should be able to get out of this one with a win. So not really,
Yeah.
a lot of.
I think the score would be
Oh, you
different if
know what?
McCaffrey didn't get hurt.
Okay, but you know who we did not talk about it from week two, and and that's what I want to talk about them in week three is the Raiders.
2-0.
Now, with the Raiders start to this season, neither one of us brought them up at all because to me, I just don't. It's not moving me. I just don't believe
Yeah,
it
I'm not
yet.
buying it yet because
No,
I think
okay,
the Ravens choked away week 1.
exactly. Now, okay, and now we're talking about week three. So
Mm-hmm.
week three they have the Dolphins. There's nothing that
Mm-hmm.
they can do in week three that's gonna convince me that they're rich for real either. So it's like it's almost like we gotta see it, and it's like unfortunately for the Raiders, it's almost like Kansas City is like the only that like this. It's like Kansas because
That's it.
Chargers is not going
Denver.
not going to convince us. Denver's not going. It's going to have to be Kansas City to really to
I mean,
say the
I
Raiders are
like
for
the
real.
Chargers. I'm gonna say that I like the Chargers, but I don't think they're a threat to the Chiefs just yet.
Uh,
Um, but yeah, it's the Chiefs division. The Raiders, yeah, they had a nice early start for sure, but we're not gonna crown. I'm not crowning them as real just yet, and I'm also not even putting them on the level of Arizona and Carolina. Well, Carolina with McCaffrey. If McCaffrey's about to be out for an extended period of time, that'll change some things in our visions
oh
about them.
yeah.
Yeah, but I'm not going to put the Raiders with Arizona just yet. I'm going to leave it open with them. I'm going to allow them to play and to continue to show us. I expect them to move to 3-0, playing the Dolphins this week with Tua out. And the Dolphins were already struggling. Shout out to the Dolphins. They might be giving my Eagles a top 10 pick this year. Love you. Um, but like you said, there's nothing yet for the Raiders to be really say, "Hey, I'm feeling them. I think they're this. I think they're that." Just yet. Uh, so yeah, let's slide over to week 3.
So all right, week three. To me, this is the lighter of weeks. Like along the schedule, it's really to me a 2 game schedule to me. Like you got
Rams,
Rams,
Bucks,
Bucks,
and then
and
Monday
Eagles,
night.
Cowboys,
Yeah,
just
Monday
because
night.
that's the box office. That's the box
Yeah.
office. So, but it's like, I mean, it obviously is going to be a lot more intrigue, on Sunday. But as far as just looking up and down the schedule, it's not much. So we might as well go ahead and talk about Rams Bucks. So
Oh
Rams
yeah.
Bucks.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it's like when you look up and down that the matchups now, the question mark is going to be Antonio Brown, AB, if he's able to get back and play. He's COVID positive, but he is vaccinated. So he just has
Mm-hmm.
to turn in 2 negative tests and he's good to
Mm-hmm.
go.
Yep.
So, still a couple days for him to do that. So he may make his way out there. But for now, let's just assume that he's not going to be out there Sunday. Um, do you think do you think that with Antonio Brown, you'd be looking at the Bucks as possibly being able to go into LA and get a win? You think how much of an effect do you think that has on the outcome? Is what I really would say.
I think their receiving core is already too good to really say that he's that much of a difference maker. I know AB is AB, but we know he's not Pittsburgh AB on this team role wise. I do kind of think he's probably just as talented as he was in Pittsburgh, but role wise, you still have Chris Godwin, you still have Mike Evans, and we're seeing a resurgent Gronkowski. So I'm not
Yeah,
going to think
different.
about his absence really swinging much for their offense. I think their offense will still be able to produce on the same level. For me, the reason why I'm leaning the Rams is because one, it's in LA. And two, I just think it's more of a statement game for the Rams. You know what I mean?
I
I know
agree.
the Rams beat them last year, and I know the Bucks have been chirping that they want them back, that they were hoping they got them in the playoffs last year to avenge that L. I hear all of that. But when you're the Super Bowl champ, and when you started the season how they've started it, I don't know if you're capable of using extra things like that to motivate you. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the Rams are going into this 100% looking at it as we got to make a statement. We want to show the world we're on their level. Matthew Stafford wants to show the world
Yeah.
that he has always been an elite run quarterback, and now he has a team around him, and he's going to show that, hey, now that I have this team, I can show you that I am big time. I can play on the same level as Tom Brady, and he's going to go out there to defeat that team. And then you have Ramsey, who has given Mike Evans some issues in the past. You know what I mean? And I think like that size matchup, Evans is a big receiver, but Ramsey's the biggest corner in the league. So they kind of negate each other. The question is going to be, can Chris Godwin get off? And what can the running game of Fournette and Ronald Jones do against the front seven of the Rams? Right? That's where I see the difference in the game going. If the Bucks are able to run the ball, if Fournette and Ronald Jones and the Bucks offensive line are able to dominate the front and get a good run game going, that's how I think the Bucks are able to still get the W in that game. But I don't think that's going to happen. I'm leaning towards the Rams winning that game, and I'm not saying that just says that the Rams are the better team or that the Rams are coming out the NFC, but I do think it's going to be an early statement game for the Rams.
Yeah, I feel the same. I don't feel like there's much. The Bucks. I mean, obviously the Bucks can win the game, but I don't feel like you said again. It's not as big of a game for the Bucks as it is for the Rams, and it's not much that would make it that. And like you said, I think Stafford is going to really come out there and try to play in spot because he wants to be on that level. He's not spoken about, on that level, because of those years in Detroit. So now it's his opportunity to really put himself in that conversation as one of the top quarterbacks in the league.
Mm-hmm.
And him and McVay is perfect together. That's who when McVay had this offense, he wanted a quarterback like that. Like I feel like you said, even making it to the Super Bowl, the Rams were only going to go as far as Jared Goff was going to take them. And obviously, he couldn't get him over the hump. Now they got a guy that they feel like he can. So that I feel like that could probably be the highlight game as far as actually on the field. Now, like we said, box office is Monday night, man. My boys versus your Eagles.
Hey, in my opinion, all season is going to be Eagles and Cowboys for the division. I don't believe in the Giants, not even 1%. And in Washington, I think they have a good defense, but lack of quarterback play. I know Heineke played okay against the Giants, and we'll see how he continues to progress as the season goes. But they're going to be missing Fitzpatrick. And I think that, along with, we're seeing that, yes, their front four is dominant with the bunch of first-round picks they have, but their secondary is not. And it's hurting the front four because the quarterback, you just got to get the ball out quicker to negate what the defensive line can do to you. So I think this is an early preview of how the division is going to be won. One of these two teams between the Eagles and the Cowboys. You got Cowboys who have a big time offense. Everyone knows it. But last week against the Chargers, their defense stepped up. If their defense could play how they played against the Chargers last week, they're probably a better team than I have them currently. You know what I mean? And then for the Eagles, it's all about Jalen Hurts. Like week 1, he played phenomenal, and the offense rolled, and they played well. Week 2, he had ups and downs. You know what I mean? He hit some big plays, but he also missed some big plays. He had one throw where he underthrew Devonta Smith, where it should have been a touchdown, but he underthrew him. Devonta had to try to turn around and come back and get it. That allowed the defenders to get there and separate the ball from him. So it's going to come down to what Dallas's defense does versus Jalen Hurts, and that's where I think the difference maker is going to come in that game. I think the Eagles are going to miss Brandon Graham some. They've lost him for this season, but the Cowboys have injuries on their side too for this game. You know what I mean? Like, so the injury factors are kind of going to negate each other. It's going to come down to Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence, Trayvon Diggs on the Cowboys defense against Jalen Hurts, Devonta Smith, Miles Sanders, and the Eagles offense. That's where I think the game will be won. Whoever wins that matchup is going to be the difference because I give Dallas's offense the respect. I don't think our defense will be able to stop them from scoring 24 points. They're going to get their 24 to 28 points. The question is, can our offense match it? You know what I mean? Can we score in that same realm to make it a game? And that's what it's going to come down to, in my opinion. And I think it's going to come down to these two teams and winning the division. Whoever wins this game Monday night will have the early leg up.
My thing is, when I look at it, to me, it's the key to the game is going to be the Eagles' offensive line. With the injury, to me,
Brooks.
Yeah, Brandon Brooks. You guys' offensive line is one of those lines where you guys got to have continuity. You got to they work together well. When they're there and they're healthy, that offensive line is formidable. But to me, even if one piece goes down, it's just not the same. It's very, they work that front four work together very well, and it's like whether or not whoever next man up, if they can get in there and hold it down, then I think Jalen Hurts can be effective, because what can be exploited with our defense, I've already seen is quarterbacks that have the time to throw. Wide receivers will be able to get open. We saw that, obviously in week 1, and then we saw that in week 2. We were able to get out there with a win, but there was Herbert made some plays, man. Herbert was able to make some plays down the field, and penalties really kind of saved us in that game. A lot of penalties on the Chargers. So it's really going to depend. If we can get pressure on Hurts and get him out the pocket and get him to scrambling, I think we'll be out, because our linebackers, it's not going to be he's not going to be able to run around like he normally would be. They get side to side, east to west on that field pretty quickly. So that's where I think the game is going to be won and lost.
Yeah, you make a good point about the Eagles' offensive line, but I do think they knew that too, and that's why they drafted Landon Dickerson in the second round, because they knew Brandon Brooks, even as great as he's been as part of the Super Bowl team, every year he's on the field, he's been a Pro Bowl, all-pro level guard. But the last couple of seasons, he's either ended the year injured or missed the whole season last year, and he's ready to miss at least 6 weeks this time. But when you draft a guy like Landon Dickerson, who easily could have went in the first round if it wasn't for his injury at Alabama in the championship game, you make that pick to say, hey, you're our future at center, yes, but we know you have history playing guard. You played it at Bama, you played it at Florida State before you transferred there. You have to be able to step in and take over and be a formidable guard for us to continue to have success. So he was not great in his first game and when he came in for Brooks last week, but that's different. You know what I mean? He didn't get a week of practice. It's totally different when you just get thrown into the fire unexpectedly. So
especially offensive line.
Yes. So we're going to see if Dickerson can come in and play well. I'm not going to say at a high level. He's a rookie still. We're going to temper expectations. But if he could come in there and he's average, if he plays average guard in between a stud like Kelsey and a stud like Lane Johnson, that's going to be that's how that offensive line will still be able to play on the level they've always played at. Because we all know Eagles, that's how they win. We win in the trenches. Defensive line, offensive line.
Defensive line, offensive line.
Yep. When we have injuries in those areas, that's usually when our seasons get derailed. And we got to hope that Dickerson's able to live up to his draft status, live up to the player he was in college, and step in early and be able to play well at right guard. Because that is an area that when you have a quarterback as young as Jalen Hurts, you do have to have strong offensive line play. You cannot have a young quarterback running around for his life, because that's when they make mistakes.
Yeah, and that's, like I said, that's where the difference comes in. If they can be the offensive line that the Eagles are known for, then we in for a game, man. It's gonna be to me probably a shootout. One more, we'd be in right back in one more of a shootout. But if we can get pressure on Jalen, I like our chances. If we can get him to running around and scrambling around back there, I think I like our chances. But we'll see. But like I said, that's the highlights. Well, what I feel like is going to probably be the biggest notes for week 3. Obviously, any given Sunday, anything can happen. So we'll see.
It's
Probably.
one other thing I think about week 3 that you didn't bring up that's pretty big is Justin Fields getting his first start.
Yes, yes, yes.
If Justin Fields plays well, you know what I mean, against the Browns, Dalton should never get the job back, in my opinion. You know what I mean? I don't think Dalton should have had the job from start, but we're going to leave that alone. But if Fields could come in and play well, kind of like the Baker Mayfield Tyrod Taylor situation, right? Baker was not the starter at the beginning. They were going to start with
Yeah.
Tyrod. He gets hurt. Baker comes in, plays pretty well. It's his job from there on out. You know what I mean? Now we're going to see. I think we're going to see the same type of thing here with Fields and Dalton. If Fields is able to play at a high level, right? Dalton should never see that job again. It should be a wrap. It should be the Justin Fields era in Chicago. And I think that's a big, big part of week 3 is him finally getting his chance to start, joining Trevor Lawrence and Zach Wilson as the rookie starters. It'll only be one now who's not starting, and Trey Lance. And honestly, Garoppolo's playing well enough where he should keep that job right now. But if Fields comes out and plays well, Matt Nagy should be fired if he benches Fields after that.
No, you're right. You're right. And I'm pretty sure that's the outcome we all want. That's the outcome that, see, my question, the intrigue in that, and you're right. I missed that one completely. I'm glad you did bring it up. The intrigue comes in is, what if Justin Fields does not play well?
That's okay. He's a rookie. That's okay.
But
If he doesn't play well, you go back
what
to
does that
Dalton and
mean?
you allow him to keep growing.
But what does that mean for that quarterback situation going forward? Like, if Justin Fields does not play well, what has to happen for him to get another shot? Is more what I'm thinking. Like,
I mean, I don't think he has to get another shot. If he shows he's not ready this season, then you keep grooming him and keep growing him until it's his time in the coming season. You know what I mean? Next year. There's other guys that have had great careers that did not start from year one. You know what I mean? Like Donovan McNabb was not our starter to start it off. We had Doug Peterson. He didn't start until later in the season. Patrick Mahomes didn't start at all, like not one game. So we all know how his career is looking. So it wouldn't change my thoughts on what I believe Justin Fields is going to be as a franchise quarterback if he comes out and he struggles early on in these couple of games right now. It just would say, okay, Nagy, you were right. Is Dalton should be the guy right now. That's the only thing I think. Only person that wins from Fields not being good right now is Nagy, because then it doesn't make him look like an idiot.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because the reason why I say this, he did look a little shaky when he came in, and I think that like we said earlier, it's hard to come in midstream, and especially as a rookie. I feel like that might have been a little bit much for him, and I hope that he's been able to prepare during this week, and he looks a little bit more in command of the offense. And the Browns it's just a pretty good defense, man. That especially that pass rush. That's what that's where I'm kind of. That's what I'm thinking about is that pass rush. It's not really to be played with. And
no, he got a test. His first game is a real test.
Yeah,
the Browns are for real.
Yeah, that's why I kind of worry about it for him. I'm like, it can go well if he to me, if Justin Fields plays up to his ability, then there's no way it doesn't go well. I've seen the kid play. I know he can play, but a really good defense can cause you not to play up to your abilities real quick.
And just the spot and all, like we know he's going to be amped up. We know, he missed. We know all types of juice is going to be flowing through his system. He has to be able to contain that, and he has to be able to just go in there and play his game. You know what I mean? I know they're going to have a game plan set where he doesn't have to be Superman, and he shouldn't try to go out there and be Superman, Like, they got some pieces on that team. David Montgomery's a good running back. Allen Robinson's a beast at receiver. The kid Cole Kemet has looked pretty solid at tight end early in the season. They have a good defense. Like, go in there, play the ball control game, and just continue to do what you have to do as your job if you're Fields. He should not go out there thinking he has to win the job and win the city, and win the franchise all in this game.
Yeah, and I feel like that's the only way. He's gonna play to that. Go out there and do the job. Don't go out there and try to be a star in game one. You got to just go out there and do the job first.
Absolutely.
Look for Allen Robinson as early and often as you possibly can. That's probably gonna be your best bet.
Yep, my fantasy team will appreciate it also.
Yeah, mine too. All right, so we talked NFL. So let's get back, to where we started off with the NBA. Now, this season in particular to me is going to be really interesting. I feel like there was some changes, some moves in this offseason, but this was a rare offseason where it wasn't a lot of big names that really moved. A lot of the teams that were set from last season are pretty much running it back for the most part. No, there's still some shoes to drop. We got training camp coming up in less than a week now, or is it a week? Still a week away. Very soon. Now, I think probably the biggest intrigue in the league right now is with Ben Simmons. Now, to me, I think it still has to be considered if he's going to be traded, only because the Sixers still hold the cards. I think it still has to be considered an if and not a when just yet. But with his stance really being publicly that he wants to be traded and he wants out, I feel like it would be a mistake for the Sixers not to trade him. You wouldn't want to bring that into the season. We saw how that worked for Houston a couple seasons ago. It didn't work out well at all.
Yeah, last year.
Last season. Yeah. Feels like
I'm
it
gonna
was.
say this. Yes, I believe they should trade him because of all the extra crap that has now happened with him. You got Sam Darnold turned into a turnover machine. But yeah, we got his own request. We got him feeling like he's been done wrong for whatever reason. Got him feeling like he got issues with the coach and front office. So moving him is probably the best idea, but you don't move him just to move him. They have to get a return. Like, yes, Ben Simmons. That's the first time I said his name in a while. Yes, Ben Simmons has his trade value and everything has diminished from how he played against Atlanta and because of the situation he's created. Yes. So we know we're not trading him for a James Harden type like potentially was going to happen last year. But at the same time, the Sixers cannot allow teams to hold them and get a major steal from them because he's still a high-level player. You know what I mean? That defense he plays is still a real thing. You know what I mean? He's still extremely good as a playmaker. He makes things happen in transition that a lot of guys can't make happen. So we cannot just act like just because he had a terrible close to that series against Atlanta that he's all of a sudden some role player or some reserve. No, he's still a 25-year-old, 3-time All-Star, 1-time All-NBA, just came in second place for Defensive Player of the Year, and a lot of people, including myself, thought he should have won Defensive Player of the Year. So they should not just trade him just to trade him. Now, they need to make a good deal. You know what I mean? Now, in my opinion, Cleveland, I know they've spoken to Cleveland multiple times. The Sixers are only going to do a deal if Garland is a part of it, and I agree with that. When we look at Sacramento, they've talked to them multiple times. The Sixers are only going to do a deal if De'Aaron Fox is a part of it. That should not change. You know what I mean? If he's not going to show up, whatever. You find his ass. He'll eventually show up. If he's not going to play, whatever. He has 4 years left on his deal. You know what I mean? He is not in a Harden or Anthony Davis situation where he could sit out and then become a free agent. You know what I mean? That's when
Mhm.
you got. That's when you get the situation where the player's in control. I think
Yeah.
it's personally. I think personally he has gotten some bad advice. Even though I respect the hell out of Rich Paul as an agent, I think he has given him some bad advice because he's not in control. You have that much time left on a deal. How can you act like you're going to force a trade? And you're coming off of a terrible series. So how are you going to control where you're going when you don't even know if every team wants you? You know what I mean? Like, so I think there's going to be some humbling that's going to happen as the season starts to factor in and the Sixers still play well without him. You know what I mean? Eventually, he's going to be moved. He's not going to play for the Sixers again. He's made that very, very clear. And I don't know if the city would accept him back. Honestly, I'm
Yeah.
just being
It's
real
tough.
about that. Like, I
After
think it
all
could
this,
be
it's
a
gonna be tough.
very ugly situation if they try to announce number 25 from LSU. I mean, I don't think that it's just going to be, oh, he's back. Let's get over it. It could have been if he would have just shut up, accepted that he had a bad series, and moved on. But he didn't do that. He created a whirlwind.
But and that's my biggest, I guess, say problem. Like I'm gonna speak to the trade situation. I got a follow up question on that. But yeah, he hasn't taken any ownership for that. To me, that to me is the biggest red flag about the entire situation. Like, and uh, you know, we're in a friend group with a couple other Sixers fans, and I've been banned from speaking about the Ben Simmons situation, which I think is a little unfair. I think it's a little unfair because, like I said, it's probably the biggest story, if not the
He's
biggest
not
story in
been
basketball.
banned. He has
The
one
biggest story
guy
in
that is
sports.
upset with him. I still appreciate his opinion on the subject. But yeah,
My thing is this: is that if Ben Simmons is not going to take ownership for um, what happened in the playoffs and his role in this whole situation, then I feel like that's the bigger red flag than him not shooting the layup. There's your problem right there. Like you don't have a guy who understands, and I don't. And the thing is, it's not that I don't think he's willing to take the blame for it. I don't think he believes that it was his fault. I don't think that he believes that
oh, he
he played
doesn't at all,
poorly.
at all.
Yeah, and I think that's, to me, like I said again, that's the biggest problem with Ben Simmons, and that's what I've seen for a while in Ben Simmons is the simple fact that I don't think he sees anything wrong with his game. And until he sees that, no, you're not going to get a change, and you should trade him because he doesn't see the problem. So that to me is the bigger underlying issue of the whole thing.
He absolutely does not think he's at fault. And that's partially why his game is not changed. Because he does not, he believes, and this is I've always known this about him. He believes he's done everything correct. And his circle tells him he's done everything correct. That he, in his opinion, if you check him or that you tell him he's doing something wrong, you're against him, and that you don't want to see him succeed. When in all honesty, everyone is saying things from him, want to see you reach the potential you have. He has the potential to be a big time superstar, but he's failing himself by not adding to his game. You know what I mean? Like he's hurting himself. And like you said, the fact that he does not think that us not making it at least the Eastern Conference Finals is not mainly on him is a major red flag. For you to be that bold after the series you had to demand a trade, to me says, yo, he has
Yeah,
no idea. He has
who do you
no,
think you are?
yeah, like who does that? You've never seen anyone else do that ever. You know what I mean? So, and I think other teams are looking at it the same way, like, yo, hold on.
And no, that's the thing. Everybody outside of Philly is looking at it that way. I think the only people that's not is either from Australia or from Philadelphia. Those are the only people that look at it any other way. I think everybody sees that, and it's just like, okay, you're really talented. You're good. You're a great player right now, but are you ever going to be any better than this? If you don't realize that there's something wrong and there's things you can work on. I that to me is the a bigger issue than anything with Ben Simmons. That's a
It's
huge issue for
mind
me.
blowing that he can think that he's okay. Like you got NBA legends calling you out. Like Shaq and Barkley called him out. Shaq said, "Dude, you're not that good." And to him, I bet you it went in one ear and out the other. It doesn't affect him because his inner circle does not call him out. They let him believe he is A-OK and that he's doing everything fine. And the reason you have to watch him, man. 2 or 3 weeks before All-Star, what does he do? He shoots, he gets aggressive, he does everything to make sure he makes that All-Star team.
He makes the All-Star team.
And then after that, he goes back to the guy he was, the guy he always is. And to me, that just says, yo, you're more than capable of doing all this stuff. You just don't do it.
And that like I said,
like, it's a
that's
shame, honestly.
That's a huge issue for me. I'm like, to me, you guys should have already been thinking about making a trade before that. And I'm not saying to give up on him. It's not about giving up. It's about buying into your team, buying into Embiid, and buying into the potential of everybody else on that roster. Because Ben Simmons is not gonna make or break whether or not, to me, does not make or break whether or not the Sixers are successful. That's the other guy. That's the guy.
No, I think he breaks. Guy. I think he makes or breaks a lot of things because if he would have played, if he plays like the guy he plays 3 weeks before All-Star game every time in these last playoffs, the Sixers might have been in the finals. You know what I mean? Like him being an aggressive Ben and playing up to his potential and attacking the basket and shooting 70% for the free throw line changes a lot for us, you know. But what I'll say is Daryl Morey showed you that he didn't believe in Ben Simmons as soon as he got here.
Yeah,
as soon as he got here, what did he try to do?
Try to trade him.
He tried to trade him for James Harden as soon as he got here. Yeah. And he thought he had a deal done. He thought he had it. You know what I mean? Houston and the owner took a less of a deal because they did not want to send Harden to Morey. And we all know that. So but to me, that says Morey already was down on the fence.
If you down Morey and you coming from what Harden and you saw had a front row seat to what Harden could do, of course you're going to try to get Harden over.
Harden and Joel Embiid would have been.
Yeah, of course. But all right. Now this is my follow-up question to my original real question. I'm enough about the actual player. What is an acceptable return for Ben Simmons? And by that, before you respond, what I really mean is, okay, if it's not obviously the Lillards of the world, the Beals of the world, they're not available, and that's just not happening right now. So then next tier is kind of what you talked about. It might be a Darius Garland, it might be a CJ McCollum, it might be a De'Aaron Fox, Golden State package. But would that be what it would really be to get something acceptable, or like, let's say if it's something where it's going to be more draft pick based, would that be? Yeah, so I'm like, would that be a return that works? But like, that's what I think about when I think about
that second tier guy you named, Garland, McCollum, Fox. I'm okay with that. You know what I mean? I think that's actually unfortunately, the way he played and how he's acting has taken his value down to that level. So if they were able to get something, if they were able to trade him to Cleveland for Garland, I'm all in for that because I think Garland actually might make us a little bit. Yes, we would suffer some on defense, but this would be the first time Embiid would have played with a self-creating point guard who can run that pick and roll game with him, who could pick and pop. And I think it would really help them. You know what I mean? It would space the floor some. So if you could get that guy, I'm okay with that. I don't want a draft pick trade at all because, and I say that because only way you do a draft pick trade is if you knew you could flip it for a Lillard or for a Bill or for a Levine. Those guys aren't available. Damian Lillard's staying. He said he's staying. I don't know why, but that's a topic for another day. But if that's not available, you have to trade Ben for a player who's near all-star level to keep us in contention. You know what I mean? They have to stay in contention. Joel Embiid is still in his prime, and as great as we all know he is, there's a time, there's an extension on him. Like there's an expiration date on Joel Embiid.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like we're just going to be honest. We all know he's not a 15-year guy. Not going to be that. Yeah. Not going to be one of those guys, unfortunately. So they have to make a deal that brings back a near all-star level guy. If it's McCollum, it should be McCollum and something else. If it's and I say that because of McCollum's age, you know what I mean? And because of there's not more to grow from a McCollum.
Mm-hmm.
Fox and Garland.
He is what he is.
Yeah, Fox and Garland, that's a little different. There's more that could come from them, you know what I mean? And they fit the timeline a little more. Whereas if an Embiid expiration does happen, you move on to the next era with Garland or Fox.
To me, out of those options, to me, Sacramento checks the most boxes. If you can get them to come off of De'Aaron Fox, right?
Mm-hmm.
And one of the ways I think you could do that is from some rumors I've heard, Tyrese Maxey, who's also a clutch client, well, I guess that's what we say, athlete. He would want to be moved as well in that.
Well,
he
shut that down. He shut it down.
Oh, he did. Okay, I didn't get the follow. I didn't.
That's all nonsense.
But the reason why I say that is that would be something that might be able to entice Sacramento to move a De'Aaron Fox. And I would say you probably would want to move Maxey over Thibault because you're going to take a defensive hit trading Ben Simmons. And I think that one of those two players is what it would probably take to move a De'Aaron Fox. Given the current state of affairs, I think that you would have to kind of sweeten it a little bit because to me, I feel like Sacramento, because they have Halliburton as well, they in a different situation where they'll probably be more willing to move a Halliburton than De'Aaron Fox.
They seem like they don't want to move Fox at all. But I think they're doing that right now because they believe they don't have to do anything. You know what I mean? They feel like, oh, Simmons wants out so much that we don't have to give up anything serious to be able to get him because y'all have to trade him. I think the Sixers have to show that they do not have to trade him, and they'll make his ass sit there. You know what I mean? And that's when I think the offers will build back up, And I think that they have to not be afraid to take it into the season because you need somebody like Sacramento to start off the season 2-13. And then it's like, okay, we have to have a shakeup. You know what I mean? Or Cleveland, who thinks they're on the verge of taking a step up, starts off the season 5-12, and they're like, oh, maybe this core is not going to work. You know what I mean? Because I believe, even though I believe in Garland a lot, I believe the backcourt of Garland and Sexton is going to have the same outcome that all little backcourts have. And it doesn't work. Yeah, it doesn't work. So at some point they have to switch that up. So those are the type of things I think the Sixers have to start. Just wait till the season comes, and I think the offers will pick back up because they will then say, okay, they're not bluffing. You know what I mean? They believe they will hold on to this guy. He has 4 years left. Like he has there's no walking away.
That's the problem for him. Is the years on that contract. Like, what are you really going to do? You're going to sit for 4 years? You're not going to do that. Mm-hmm. No, well, they're not going to pay him to sit for 4 years either. At some point, something got to give. All right, so now on to some good news for the NBA. Now, and not to say that Ben Simmons getting traded might not necessarily be a good news story for the Sixers and anything. It might work out for the best for everybody. I think in Sacramento, if Sacramento is the place where he goes, I think that's a place where it could work out well for everybody. Even Portland to me too. I mean, obviously in Portland, that would be the best player Damian Lillard's ever played with already. Just from jump, like that one move would be the best help Damian Lillard has ever had. But what I want to talk about, I mean, good news story for the NBA is, leading up to this training camp, they had said that, there's a 90% vaccination rate among players as of right now. And I think that it's important because it speaks to not only, the NBA as a league, as an organization, but it also speaks to me at the NBA players once again being at the forefront of an issue or of something that's important. We've seen many times in the past NBA players have had the wherewithal and the ability to step up and make a stand. And I think just by the numbers, not even saying anything, by just having those numbers, they're making another statement and saying that they're doing the responsible thing, or the not only just in terms of regular everyday society, but for that league. We've seen the NFL has had issues, with vaccination rates for teams and players, now ended up on COVID list. So this news is kind of counter to that we've heard so far. So I would say that I definitely would say that's a good news story for the NBA heading into this season.
Oh yeah, man. Like you said, I think in terms of the whole league as a whole, it helps them not have to restart or anything. It's just going to move. Like they're going to have a swifter transition back to what we are used to and getting back to a full 82 game season. And then also, it helps the culture. You know what I mean? Because yes, it's not just a black game, but it is a game within our community that is probably the number one sport. And I think the more you see guys like that get it and even speak about getting it and speak about not having any side effects, you may be able to get other non-athletes to start to wake up and get the vaccine and all of that also, because we know we have a lot of pushback from our community. And I think you can start to have that. You can start to have a change in that potentially also due to this.
Yeah, no, that's just exactly what I was getting about. Like, you put it well when you said that, like, them seeing that these athletes, these top athletes that you out there you watch, they all been vaccinated and they're all just fine. That kind of and that's exactly what I was getting at. But you said it. I like the way you said it. That's exactly the example that they set is important. Now, speaking of not great examples, I gotta give somebody a nod about that life this week. I never like to do it, but got to do it when it's warranted. So today, the Minnesota Timberwolves parted ways with their president of basketball operations, Gershon Rosas. I don't know if I'm saying his name right. If it's Rojas, it might be Rojas, and I might be butchering his first name too, but bear with me. Basically, it was a very sudden move, like sudden to the point where I read articles were saying that he was having meetings today. He was going about regular business during the course of today. When the announcement was made, he was in the building. Players, Karl Anthony Towns, the star player on the team, was completely caught blindsided by the news that he was let go, and and that kind of perked a lot of people's ears up. And as it turns out, basically their official statement reasoning is that he was creating a toxic environment for the organization. Now, of course, the media is not going to let that slide. So digging deeper, by the end of the day, we find out that the real reason is that it's come out that Rojas was having a consensual, let's make that clear, a consensual relationship with a fellow Minnesota Timberwolves employee who happened to work under him. Which, unfortunately, Mr. Rosas of Rojas happens to be married as well. So, it definitely was not an ideal situation. And ownership was actually made aware of this because team officials were actually provided photographic evidence of the connection. So it's like this is not an ideal situation, and this is why there's a saying, you don't shit where you eat. Like, and also one of the so I feel like the further up the ladder you go, the more that should be, held high. That should be something that you should, like. It should be a lesson. Let this be a lesson. To be like, the higher up you are, the more that rings true. Because if y'all both at McDonald's, if you on the fries or she at the register, have at it. It's okay. We're not going to really, you guys do what you do. But if you're the president of operations with the Minnesota Timberwolves, you should not be having an affair anywhere near that building. Like, I don't feel like this is something that we should have to even say. Like,
yeah, no, like this is just idiotic, man. This is just like a bad way to fumble the bag, fumble a dream job, or probably was something you dreamed to work at that.
you know how much work you got to put in to be the president of operations of a basketball?
Yes. Like he blew it, big time mistake. And yeah, man, he gotta bash him a little for that one. He's definitely not about that life right now.
Now, when I say that they found photographic evidence, see now, there's like private investigative, sneaky stuff. The photographic evidence, they were seen kissing in a suite at the Minnesota United FC, which is the MLS team from Minnesota team. Like, now, they were in the Timberwolves box.
He's just silly, man. Just dumb. Absolutely dumb. Just dumb. Like he's dumb. That's all you can say about it. It's like, hey, yo, you're married, one. The female's an employee of your organization, 2. 3, you're in the public doing it. You're just dumb. Like, that's why I know.
But no, they didn't just buy seats and go to the game. They were in the Minnesota Timberwolves box.
Yeah.
So you're just mixing work and pleasure, business and pleasure all over the place.
Yeah, he's an idiot. Yep, he deserves to lose his job. I usually don't like to say that about people. I like to see people succeed in life. I don't want to see you lose your job. But when you do something this stupid, like, you deserve it, man. It's like, come on, bro. Like, yo, one, I know people have affairs and all that. That's your own doing. But why would you do it inside the organization? And why like you said, that's the club box seat of the franchise. Like, how did you think you were getting away with that? Or did he just think it didn't matter? I think maybe he thought, oh, I'm the president of operations now. Who's going to fire me? Alex Rodriguez.
I'm about to say, you're not the owner, bro.
Hey, Rod said you got to go.
A-Rod probably told him straight, you're not me, bro.
I can do this.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Wow, poor guy. He blew it. He's not only lost his job, probably gonna lose his woman. He got kids. They gonna be upset with him. Like, all types. He just blew it. They blew it.
Terrible decision making, man. But and that's my biggest thing about it. He should be fired, not even because of just a toxic work environment. You should be fired because you make terrible decisions, and that's probably dumb. That's probably why the Timberwolves are in the situation they're in now, because you make bad decisions, bro.
Bad decisions, man. You trade Andrew Wiggins and a first-round pick for D'Lo. Like, it's like we should just
you make terrible decisions.
Oh man, JC Horn getting carried off.
Oh no. That sucks.
That sucks. He's balling too.
Yeah, that's her. I saw him last week. He's balling out. Got an interception. That sucks. Hope he's all right, man. But anyway, Not about that life, man. Not about that life. I had to do that one. But other than that, man, that's all I really got, man. Anything else, man? Anything else you want to touch on and we talk about?
Nah, man, I think we tapped through everything. Looking forward to Monday night, big game for the Eagles. We gotta get back on the winning road.
Yeah,
We'll
I
see
think it's
what
gonna be a
happens
good
with.
one.
We'll see what
Either
happens
way.
with the Australian. We got some good games this Sunday, man. We're gonna keep going. We get back with you guys in the coming week.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, like Mark just said, man, catch us next time, man. We'll definitely be right back here to talk more sports, and y'all join in on the conversation. Catch us on social media, on Twitter and Instagram. We're under About That Sports Life, ABTDATSPRTSLIFE. YouTube and Facebook, you can catch us under About That Sports Life. That's DAT. Email us info at aboutthatsportslife.com. And then you can check out replays on our own site, www.aboutthatsportslife.com.
Peace.
All right, we're out of here. Later.